Hey y'all, thanks for being here for a blast from the past. Life as a nomad. Woo! Where my heart is. All you nomads out there living life on the road. Yeah. Today's table topic in May motivation is: where do you sleep for the night? 365 days times almost 4 years. We're talking what? I don't know. 1,600 plus days, maybe a little less, maybe a little bit more. I didn't figure it out ahead of time. I am going to share with you my personal journey of where I chose to sleep over the course of all those hundreds and hundreds of days, and where you can sleep on your nomad journey. So with no further ado, I hope you'll join me. Happy day, all you Serene and Simple Life peeps out there. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Month of May is going to be May motivation, a blast from the past, bringing back my knowledge and my insights over the course of 3.5 years as a nomad. So I hope you will continue to watch. Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes it changes, and Saturdays. That is, for the time being, it's usually early afternoon, late morning is when I post. So if you subscribe and click the bell, then you won't ever miss an update. I think this is going to be a fabulous series. Some of my most watched videos happen to be on where I have slept. And I know that there are many videos out there on where you sleep for the night, and they get a lot of circulation and a lot of interest. So hopefully I can do the same for you. And from a personal standpoint of being a nomad for over 3.5 years, I think I have some very good knowledge about this particular subject. Where do I stop my wheels for the night? I have a few notes, but I do have it mostly in my head. I have broken it down into kind of like plan A and plan B. And before I go any further with where I sleep for the night, I did not let that question, that thought, that happening take over my life as a nomad. I know for some people, it can be so overwhelming that you're like, I just can't do this life because I just can't think about where am I going to sleep? Will I get a knock? Will I be allowed? Will I even find a place? The whole shebang. People just say it's not worth it. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is worth it. And it's not only just worth it, but it's simple. It's really simple. You break it down. You keep your bigger goals in mind and your bigger ideals of why you became a nomad. For me, it was to save money to get this landing zone, this tiny home, but it was also to live life large. I was not living life large in sticks and bricks. I was not in a go-see-do mode, although my heart was. And that is a future table topic, my personal story, my personal journey on why I became a nomad. So you won't want to miss that one. But for today, I'm just going to let you know that where I slept for the night, it actually became more fun than a challenge. I like moving around. I like seeing new surroundings every day, sunsets, sunrises. It was all different. And It was exciting. For those of you who've been watching me a while, you know I am the queen of rest areas. Why rest areas? Well, my travels, my choice was to travel the interstates and then go off the beaten path and then come back to the interstates. I found that to be simple. You know, in the world of recovery, keep it simple. And rest areas became my park, a place to not only park, but to enjoy like a park. There are rest areas every, 50, 100 miles from the East Coast to the West Coast. There are rest areas, and to tell you the truth, I never found a bad rest area. Whether it was small and rinky-dink and the bathrooms weren't up to par, or whether it was Texas magnificent, there was something quaint and quiet and peaceful to stop my wheels at a rest area, unlike some of the other places that we're going to get into. So it is a personal belief, it is a personal thought, and there has been also people who say, hey, if you do the rest areas and you do the interstates, you're going to miss a lot. Going, back roads is better. Well, I did plenty of back roads during the day. And then my peace of mind, my journey took me back to the interstate to go do the next day. And over the course of 3.5 years, I accomplished seeing, not only driving through, but seeing and visiting all 50 states except for Alaska. I didn't do all 50 states over 3.5 years. I think I did 40 states. And if you really want to know the details of my journey and my rest area happiness, well then, shameless plug here, Rut to Revival came out in November, and it's a wonderful book and a handbook, and there are 10 pages in here of places you can go do for free, and I list all 40 states that I visited. So we'll just put this aside, but it is on Amazon, and it is worth every penny. Shameless plug. And I thank you for all of you who have already purchased it and gave me wonderful reviews, that you can go and check out the reviews. All right, back to where I slept. Queen of the rest areas. Well, there were times when there wasn't a rest area when I needed to stop for the night. Or I wanted a little shake it up change. So therefore, I went into truck stops. Truck stops was next on my brain. Most often Loves. I had someone who gifted me shower credits with a Loves. Mr. Truck Driver out there, I love you with the love of the Lord, and I appreciate you, and I hope you're still out there watching. Thank you for that gift. So my choice was Loves. That would be my night of getting a hot dog off the roller grill, waking up the next morning and getting a shower, or getting a shower that evening, although I found in the mornings they weren't quite as busy, early morning. And then I would be back on the road. I also like the noise on occasion of a truck stop. To me, truck stops are noisier than rest areas. I got more or less used to trucks running, especially in the winter when they had to turn on their heat, or of course the hot summer when they had to have their AC on, or for if they were carrying refrigeration. I tried my best to not park next to a truck that was running, but on occasion it happened, and I just thanked God for the opportunity to be in that rest area, and I thank God for the truck drivers. So it was a mind over matter, and it only lasted but a night. It wasn't my preference. Many, many rest areas divide the trucks and the cars. And I'm sure that the truck drivers are just as happy with us not being in their way as we are not being around them. So I would say the majority of the time, the trucks and the cars are separated enough where you're not catching the noise. Now, you do catch the noise from the interstate, and if you're new, you might not know that traffic is kind of like white noise to me. I grew up with traffic out my window in my bedroom. We were close to the Pennsylvania Turnpike. I mean, it was like a stone's throw. And so traffic is soothing to me, just saying. And then at 2 and 3 in the morning when it's only 1 or 2 cars, that's really nice. If you wake up, and it's just really, really peaceful. And then you just can't beat waking up in the morning when it's not too busy either, and you're hearing the birds, and you take off your window shades and you see the squirrels running around beside your car or your RV or whatever your rig is, and then starting a new day. So that was a bunny trail back to the rest areas, but truck stops was probably my number 2. Then was Cracker Barrels. I like Cracker Barrels. There were a couple I stayed at a couple nights in a row, and never got a knock. Never got a knock at a Cracker Barrel. And speaking of knocks, over the course of the 4 years, I think it was either 3 or 4 knocks. Not fun, but it is what it is. And then after a while, you get away from it. One was I was on the outskirts of a medical center when I first started the nomad life. I was in Texas, and the policeman actually became like a buddy to watch me. He said it was his route, and he wanted to see if I was okay. And I opened up my door, like, who does that? But he was banging on the trunk, and it was scary, and I knew it was the police, and I couldn't get my buttons to work. I was half in a haze, with sleeping, and so we started to have a chit-chat over 10 or 15 minutes. Go figure. It just comes hand in hand with being a babbling brook that I am. But he invited me back. He said, you can stay here anytime now that I know who you are. He said, I have 3 or 4 people on my route that sleep in their vehicles. But I didn't ever go back there. I was like, if you're not on duty and I get this knock again with that banging, no thank you. So another one that could have been avoided was in Lake Havasu. It was at Rotary Park. It says no overnight parking, and I pushed the envelope. I was like, it's getting awfully quiet here. It's next to the beautiful water. And then I got that knock about 9 o'clock. So it was pretty early, but yet it was still pitch black, and it wasn't fun looking for a new spot. So I shouldn't have been there. I got a knock at a Walmart one night where they said you weren't allowed, but he redirected us to Lowe's down the street. So here's this little caravan of 5 or 6 of us leaving and going to another area real close by. And I got a knock at another Walmart where I needed to be in a different section because they were doing the sweeping, and he had to get people into one area. So that was a little bit weird too. That was in Colorado, I believe. But other than that, I can't think of any time where it was like this horrific, oh my gosh. And I have to tell you, I have asked permission to sleep areas where they said no overnight parking, and I never got a no. Just saying, never got a no. So I think some of those signs are old, outdated. If you need to sleep, you're a nice person, you're a grandma. Just saying. And they see your need, then you can always play the I'm really tired card, and most often they have empathy for you with that, whether sleeping is allowed overnight or not. And I have been in many rest areas overnight where I was the only car there too, and I was not scared a bit. So go back if you want into the playlist. I've got probably 10 or 15 videos I have done on rest areas. I keep going back to that. And then I mentioned Walmart. Walmart, there was times in my nomad journey where I was stationary. Okay, so it wasn't all of 1,500 days. I was at Sandy's in Washington for, I think there was a time I was there for over a month, and I was at her place twice. I was at Kimberly's in Florida, and I stayed there while I was working at Walmart. And I stayed, thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Sandy. Love you guys. And then I was at, I camped with Jolene for a week in Willow Lake in Pinedale in Wyoming. So I did some camping. When I went and visited a tiny home place, I stayed there for a month. Thank you very much for giving me permission to do that. When I was in Montana working at Walmart, I asked permission by HR and I stayed in the parking lot for 3 months. I moved a couple nights, but mostly I just stayed there. There was tons of RVs there because that's right outside of Glacier National Park. So all in all, with my work situations, and I was a camp host, and when I was a camp host, they gave me a spot. That was 2 months. And then when I was at Ruby's Inn General Store, and they gave me a spot there. So we could probably take all of that combined, we could probably take a year away, but I still had to at least 1,000 days, at least 3 years, find a place to park. So I am very knowledgeable on that. All right, so that this doesn't get too long, my other go-tos, if it weren't for a rest area, a truck stop, a Cracker Barrel, or a Walmart, or camping with friends, or that kind of thing. And, as you go on this journey, you meet people. And I'm just so very grateful for all of you who gave me that opportunity to stay put for a while. Tammy from Ohio and St. Augustine, she got permission for me to be able to stay where she was parked in an RV park on the outskirts. And so thank you, Tammy. The other places was a handful of times at a hotel parking lot. I don't know, when I get back out on the road, I may try hotels again more. When I was at Zion National Park, I pretty much, if I wasn't exploring, I would hang out in the beautiful visitor center for the entire day. And then come 9 o'clock when it started to get dark, I headed over to a hotel and I stayed there for a week on the outskirts where there was plenty of parking. Never parked at a hotel where there was only 1 or 2 spaces left, like never. But those mid-range hotels, plenty of videos out there on people who really embrace staying at hotels. And so I did that. When I first started out as a nomad, I moved around from the Walmart to the medical center where I got the knock. And a couple times I stayed at the medical center in the emergency area where I never got a knock. I was on the outskirts. I have to say, looking back, it felt a little eerie. It was a combination. Is this good? Is this not? But because I run with faith over fear, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stay here and just to move around a little bit. But basically it was Walmart when I first started out, but also a street alongside an apartment complex. Felt very good there, although, it was parked in between other cars that were obviously the apartment tenants or guests because there wasn't enough parking for the tenants within the complex. Never stayed in a complex, only on the outskirts. But cars coming by close to you, it was a narrow road all night. I was like, not sure. But would I do it again? Yeah, I'd do it again because it was a good night's sleep too. My go-tos to find the rest areas is an app called Rest Stops. Absolutely love that. It'll give you reviews, although unless it was like it's closed for construction or somebody said not a safe area, something like that, I pretty much didn't follow the reviews because usually reviews in those worlds, there's some people who make a livelihood out of throwing people under the bus and businesses, and they live to do that. And even with my book, there are 3 reviews that I have that are live, just reviews. You know, they're not people who purchased my book, so go figure. You guys are smart, you know. You know, if you see something that has 10 5-star reviews and then there's 2 that are 1 star, that doesn't line up. That doesn't line up. Just saying, bunny trail. So besides the Rest Stops app, freecampsites.net. That's a good place. A couple times I found some really interesting places, and I'm like, why don't I do this more often? Find some really out of the way, like camping sites. I stayed one night at an area, and I did a video on it. It was found on free campsites, and it ended up being like, I don't know, this little parking lot with vault toilets, but all below it was like this beautiful park, and it was free. Shriner Park in Junction, Texas. Oh, absolutely love it. Would love to go back there someday. I've stayed also at Buc-ee's. Oh my gosh. Yeah, in Texas. And they're spreading too. A couple times I asked permission. One time they needed my license, but they gave me permission and told me I needed to be out early in the morning. A couple times I didn't ask. I was on the outskirts. So that's a wonderful place because you can go in the morning, use their fabulous bathrooms. And I did a review on Buc-ee's too. So I stayed at the beach a couple times. Yes, in Oregon. Oh my gosh, stayed there a couple nights, and and then I also stayed right on the water, on the beach. That was kind of like, ooh, are the tires gonna sink, or you know, what's gonna happen? Am I gonna be washed out to sea? You never know. But that was such an awesome time. And also Magnolia Beach in Texas. Oh my gosh. Many of these places are listed in Rut to Revival. So this is a handbook as well as a story. It's a must buy. It's a value. Anyways, I guess that'll about wrap it up. Do have experience in a lot of different places. You already know my go-to and where I like change and I liked trying out new areas. Right now I'm stationary, so I've got this table topic from the past, and then moving into the future, which could be any day. It could be 6 months from now, or it could be a little longer with Plan B. Just a little hint. But I will be back on the road as a full-time nomad as I rebuild and buy land. That's the plan. Thank you all for being here for this table topic. The next one coming up, I'm not sure what it's going to be. I'm going to be doing necessities on the road, my power right here at the table. Unless I'm already gone, then I'll be doing picnic table topics. I love picnic tables. And we'll be sitting at rest areas doing those, or at a park. And I'm also going to do my budget coming up, and necessities, my personal story, how I sleep in my SUV, lots of good stuff. So hope you'll continue watching, and if you're not already subscribed, that you'll do that so that you can not only help yourself, but you can be a catalyst for change for other people, as the algorithm will pick up these videos when people are subscribed and they give me a thumbs up. Thank you. I love you guys. Blessings in your day and joy in your journey.